Welcome to segment 6, and we're going to pick up where we're talking about at the end of the show this evening and the issue of privacy in this country, from the macrocosm to the microcosm. It goes, it's really getting out of control. What we were talking about earlier, we started to talk about, we didn't get too far down the line on it, but the United States government has admitted that they are flying drones over the United States, spying on us. I mean, that's literally what they're doing, and they've admitted it. Now the Russians are saying they signed some treaty, pact, whatever it was, some time ago, and they're going, we would like to do this too. So now they want to fly surveillance flights over the United States.
Sure.
What could go wrong with that?
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Well, the woman who defended the treaty said the treaty is called Open Skies Treaty.
Right.
So you can Google it. We got this from Fox News, so somewhat credible source. And she's like, well, the terms of the treaty is that everyone in the treaty has to share with all the other members of the treaty what they've collected. So she's saying that we'll know what the Russians have collected from us.
Oh, of course, because they would never think of the concept maybe of having another camera or a different system.
And they would never be like selective about what they would share with us.
No. They're actually they're more honest than Obama.
Well, actually, that may be true. That's a conjecture, actually.
Unfortunately, it probably is true. But that's sort of the macrocosm. That's the big picture. They're just they're listening to our phone calls, and they're recording our email, and they're flying over us, and they have cameras at lights that take pictures of our license plates. And you're
not talking about Russia at this point. You're talking about the U.S. government at this point.
Is there a difference anymore?
Well, that is also a cogent question.
I really read with, although let me take that back. I was going to say I read with dismay. I read with a certain amount of jubilation that Apple has told the federal government to go pound sand. Now, the Apple thing, for people who aren't aware of this, it goes back to, who are the two idiots?
San Bernardino.
I can't remember what their names were. But
that's okay. We don't want to give them any publicity.
That's true, although they won't know it. But the point is, they had cell phones. They had iPhones. And I'll be fair, I get what the feds are saying. There's part of me.
I see both sides.
Yeah, there's part of me that goes, I want to know what's in that phone, because the next attack could be in there.
True.
The problem is this. Even though the federal government says, we just want to open this phone, they've lied to us consistently.
Right. I love how this says, the Obama administration defended the Justice Department's request, vowing that the government would solely use the new program on this Farouk's phone, just the one phone. Right. Yeah. That's good enough. That's good enough for me.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with that. That's the problem. If this were, well, you know what? I was going to say if this were under Reagan, but I loved Ronald Reagan. Don't get me wrong. The truth is, the government, both sides of the aisle, have day by day slowly been marching to where we are today.
Right. I mean, our rights and our liberties have been eroded piece by piece. It wasn't all in a day.
No.
And it wasn't just Obama.
That's true. And it wasn't just Democrats.
No,
to be
of course
fair.
not.
Yeah. I love W.
I was just going to say, George W. did his fair share with the Patriot Act.
He did indeed. I like the guy. I didn't always agree with everything that he did, but I liked the guy. He's the kind of guy I think it'd be cool to have lunch with, But he did the Patriot Act. Now, when he did that, the spirit, I got that completely.
Absolutely.
Okay? But look where it is. Whether it was intended from day one or not.
Exactly.
Here's where we are.
10 years on, then you got to see, okay, this is where it left us, and it was like, okay, I think, time to pull it in.
And you remember they told us that they were only going to monitor the phone calls of international calls going to places where they had high belief that it was a terrorist organization.
Right.
And that's what they told us for a long time, until they got caught.
Until Snowden.
And Snowden unveiled the ugly statue that they're listening to everybody.
Yes.
So I was going to say during an administration that you could trust them, but the fact is, even the ones you liked, no matter what side of the aisle you were on,
sure,
even the ones you liked, they've all been playing the game.
Well, and that's really the problem with, and I don't know, I don't know if you can really pin it all on the president, whoever the president happens to be at any given moment.
It's a giant network.
Right. I don't know if you can actually pin it on them or if it's just bureaucracy in general, the government in general. But, most of these people, someone who can become president, someone who can become even a senator, there's a certain personality profile. And basically, it's egomaniac.
Of course. Well, and why would you spend that much money to take a job that pays a fraction of what it costs you?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you can't trust an egomaniac. That's really the problem is, all of these people are primarily self-centered. And
I giving the benefit of the doubt to people. So, okay, they go, look, we need to get into this iPhone, and for perfectly good reasons. We need to get into this iPhone. We want to find out what's in there. That's all we want to do. Now, so they do that. 2 months from now, somebody sitting at the conference table is going to go, you guys got into that iPhone that time, didn't you? Yeah. How'd you do that? Well, we talked to him. You know what? Let's talk to him again, because I got something going here that I'd like to find out. You know that?
Right.
And I can see it starts potentially with good intentions.
Sure.
But once you can do it, then you've opened the dam.
Right. And, a little part of me wishes, there's a sentence here. It says, the court is specifically ordering Apple to disable the function that erases the data on an iPhone after a user enters an incorrect password 10 times. So they want to be able to keep trying.
Right.
And as you say, it's like, okay, that sounds like a reasonable request. But,
on the surface.
But there's always a big but. Then what happens? So I see both sides.
And I do too. The cop in me,
right,
and the military,
exactly.
Guy, they're saying, yeah, we need that information. We need it.
Right.
The problem is the ability to abuse that information,
right,
and the ability to collect that information. Now, and people will go, oh, you're this. I can hear Eric Zorn. Okay? When we have this discussion, I can hear his voice. He's going, you've got this dystopian view of what's going to happen. All you conservatives come up with this kind of stuff. So now we get Loretta Lynch, and she's saying, if you deny climate change, I think we should prosecute you. What?
Well, she looked into it. She asked the FBI if that was something they should do.
And they told her they can't do it.
Right.
But I don't think that's going to stop them.
Thank goodness. Well, and here's the thing. This is InfoWars is saying it could set if they did that, it would set a precedent that could silence numerous other views. And that is true. I mean, basically everything with the legal system is based on precedent.
It is. And this administration, and certainly it isn't the only corrupt administration in the history of this country.
Absolutely not.
And again, on both sides of the aisle, we've had our share.
Yes.
But the point is, it doesn't matter whose it is, whose share we're looking at. I forget who said that about anyone who trades a little security. Was that?
I think it was Benjamin Franklin.
Was it Franklin who said that?
Yeah, I think it was Benjamin Franklin.
Anyone who would trade security for... I forget exactly how that goes.
A little security for a little liberty would
gets neither.
Yeah, and deserve neither.
I don't know. We're a little off our game tonight, so
as they've seen,
we're fine.
But yeah, and they make the point that climate change censorship is a part of a larger effort to silence political speech, and we've seen that. I mean,
exactly.
There's countless examples of that I don't think for our intelligent audience, I don't think we need to enumerate.
I think the issue here is if you did that, as you just said, you're giving permission for a subject which you can plug in the name of that subject because it's already been done.
Right.
Well, we did it with that.
Right.
We can certainly do it with this one. And you get administrations like this, they just go wild.
Well, and again, there's enough blame to go to both sides of the aisle, but I will say that political ideologies like communism and socialism thrive on suppressing dissenting views. I mean,
absolutely.
If you look at any, if you look at USSR, if you look at, any of the Muslim countries, the theocracies, all of these type of governments thrive on suppressing alternate views, and so you see further evidence of them wanting to go down that path.
Yeah, book burning. It's modern book burning. Is what
exactly.
It is. And this climate change I find particularly interesting, that they would draw the line in the sand, or try to draw the line in the sand.
Yeah.
Because
it seems like an unlikely candidate.
There are fewer and fewer scientists who support climate change.
Right.
The climate is changing. The question is not whether or not it's getting hotter or colder. The question is why is it doing it? And they're saying we're causing it. And what scientists are more and more now saying is this is cyclical.
It's cyclical.
It's happening. You can go back and dig in the ground 10,000 years back and you find, and that's the issue. They're capitalizing on this. Mm-hmm. And it's all about control.
Yeah.
Except for Al Gore, it's about money.
Right.
Because he's making a fortune.
Because he's not in control anymore.
Yeah, he's making a fortune off it.
I've actually thought about this. Now, for our WIND audience, this is perfect, but the Bible actually says, God said in the Bible, that he created the earth and only he can destroy it. So that is the Christian view of climate change and environmentalism, is that there's basically, God has said there's nothing that we can do to destroy the earth. Now, that is only in his hands.
I would point something out on that comment, and I'm not disagreeing, but I'm going to point something out on that. What tool he chooses to use.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That tool could be Russians.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear people talk like this, don't be so sure they can't destroy the world, because maybe they're the tool.
Well, I suppose it's possible, but yeah, and that is not, obviously that's not my interpretation of it. But yeah, I mean, I suppose that interpretation could be made.
The thing about America has always been, and we've been imperialistic, I don't argue that, not to the art form that the British have been, no. Certainly. They really elevated it to an art form. But yes, of course, we've done stupid things. We hung Osama bin Laden out to dry when he was working for us, which is why he got PO'd, and that's how that whole thing started. So I'm not denying any of that.
Sure.
But this country used to be the one country on the planet that if the you-know-what hit the fan, even our enemies, we would help their people if there was some sort of natural disaster.
Right,
in Vietnam, we went into villas and gave medical treatment to people, and half of them we knew were Viet Cong. But they needed it, we went in and we gave it to them.
Right.
We're backing off on doing that stuff. We're no longer the hero of the world.
Well, there's several reasons for that. We can't afford it, for one thing. We haven't been able to really truly afford it for a long time. This whole thing is financed with debt at this point. So,
and that's bad decision making on the part of government.
Right. It's going to be increasingly difficult for us to be both the police force and the humanitarians of the world, the way that we have been in the past. And that is bad decision making over the course of many years, racking up the huge deficit that we have.
But what we had as a country climbing, and we, I think, have hit the zenith. If things don't change, it looks like we're reversing.
I think we're past it. I personally think we're past our zenith.
We may be. You may be right. I don't know. But I just find that very disheartening, because the reason is immigrants came to this country knowing that on the entire planet, this is where you went if you wanted the opportunity to be successful.
Sure.
And yes, the Jews got the snot beat out of them. The Italians did. The Irish did. Everybody that came here got their butts kicked, and they got, they called them names and all that stuff, and they still went on to be doctors and lawyers and tradesmen and whatever it was. They overcame that. And we have developed a country of people who are whiners. Young people today, 30 and under roughly, they think they're owed something. My parents never thought they were owed anything. They thought they owed the country something.
Right.
And that's the scary part about it, that we've reversed this. Remember Kennedy, who today probably would be a Republican.
Yeah. No question.
Kennedy is the guy that said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Well, people today laugh at that.
Right.
They don't believe that
Their
at all.
concept is completely foreign to them.
It is, except for us old guys who,
Yeah.
keep doing it. And they laugh at us.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I have to include myself with you old guys.
You're not that old. Anyway,
I'm saying philosophically, I'm more aligned with you than them.
philosophically, yes, not chronologically.
No.
Yeah. You just had, what, your 30th birthday, wasn't it? Yeah.
I don't say a word.
On that high note, I think we'll call it quits. We'll be back next week, though, and we have absolutely no idea what we're going to do next week, but then we never do. But it'll be interesting, and we'd like to have you come back for more Segment 6.